Good morning, sir. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to my presentation. First of all, I would like to thank my professor, Dr. D. Murlidhar Rao, sir, for giving me this opportunity. First of all, let me introduce myself. My name is M. Nilofar Banu, and I am studying MSc Biotechnology from SK University. Today, I am here to give a seminar on the topic translation. So, I would like to talk you about my presentation. First of all, before going into what is meant by translation, we have to know the central dogma of molecular biology. Okay, for example, take a moment to look at your hands, the bones, skin, and the muscles you see are made up of cells, and each of these cells contains many millions of proteins, right? Each if we took if you look our hands, skin, muscles, bones, all these are made up of cells, right? Cells. These cells contains millions and trillions of proteins. As a matter of fact, we know that proteins are the building blocks for every organism on the earth. Now, here the question is, how are these proteins made in the cell? Okay, to know this, we have to know about the central dogma of molecular biology. This explains the flow of genetic information from DNA to RNA, and from RNA to make a functional product known as protein. The central dogma suggests that the DNA contains the information, right? We all know that DNA contains all the genetic information which will be translated to one generation to another generation. So, the DNA contains all the information which is needed to make up of all proteins, and the RNA is act as a messenger RNA that carries the information to form a product called proteins, right? Here the ribosomes serve as a factorist for the protein synthesis to give a product called proteins. So, the gene expression will be takes place in two different steps. One is transcription, another one is translation. So, let me tell you what is mean by transcription and what is mean by translation. First of all, transcription. Transcription means here the DNA sequence, if you observe this picture, it is a DNA sequence. Here the base, we all know that DNA is a double helical structure, and Watson and Crick model of DNA, like A pairs with a T and C pairs with a G, like ATGC with so the Watson and Crick model, we all know this about the pairing of the DNA. So here the DNA, which is double stranded DNA sequence of a gene, it is rewritten in the form of RNA. If you look this picture, we can clearly see that the DNA base pairs are ATCG. Instead of here in RNA, the U is replaced here, just uracil. T is replaced in case of RNA, means ATGC, here UAGC. Every bonds are same, GC bonds are same except U. Thymine will be replaced by uracil in the case of RNA. So, it is here the DNA is rewritten in the form of RNA. So, this process is called as transcription. And coming to translation, in this stage of translation, it is known as second step in the central dogma. Here the DNA sequence of in this stage, the mRNA, it is called as mRNA, which the DNA is transcribed rewritten in the form of RNA is known as mRNA. This mRNA is decoded to build a protein that contains a series of amino acids. This is known as translation. That means the mRNA contains nucleotides. Three nucleotides gives rise to one codon. That means UAC gives rise to one amino acid, UCA gives rise to one amino acid, GGU gives rise to one amino acid, UCA gives rise to one amino acid. Like this, all amino acid link together to form a polypeptide chain, which is known as proteins. Next, moving into our topic translation. So let's get started. First of all, translation. The translation is a process of synthesizing the proteins, right, in a chain of amino acids known as polypeptides. It is the second part of the central dogma in genetics. As I already said you about this, translation is the second part of the central dogma in genetics. Translation is the most highly conserved across all the organisms and most highly energetically costly for this cell. In rapidly growing bacterial cells, up to 80% of the cell's energy and 50% of the cell dry weight occurs in the translation. Coming to translation, brief note about translation means in the we know that translation takes place in the cytoplasm and the ribosomes proceeds to read the code of the messenger RNA molecule in order to know what amino acids need to be put in place during protein synthesis. This process is called as translation. It is just like how an mRNA is complementary to the DNA strand. tRNA has nucleotides that are complement to the mRNA strand. So tRNA and the ribosomes carry out the process by adding the amino acids to a chain that eventually became a full protein. We know that mRNA is complementary to what? To our DNA strand. So here the complementary strand will act, the mRNA will act as a complementary strand. The tRNA has nucleotides that are complementary to our messenger RNA. Like this, the tRNA and the ribosomes carry the process, which carry a process by adding the amino acids to growing chain, which is known as polypeptide chain, which gives a full product called proteins. So next, the components of translation. Let's see what are the components required for translation. First is site. Site, and second is template. Third, mRNA, tRNA, ribosomes, codons involved and factors involved. So let's see what is meant by site. I already said that these translation takes place in the cytoplasm, right? It takes place in the ribosome found in the cytosol or those attached to the rough endoplasmic reticulum. Coming to template, in translation, messenger RNA is decoded to produce a specific polypeptide according to the rules specified by the genetic code. We will discuss the genetic code later. Genetic code is nothing but 3 nucleotides gives a codon. A single codon. A single codon is nothing but a amino acids. In translation, messenger RNA act as a template. So the messenger RNA is complementary to the messenger RNA is complementary to the DNA strand. It acts as a template. Now moving into next, messenger RNA. The messenger RNA, here we know that the messenger RNA is the name itself indicating that it is acting as a messenger. The messenger RNA is a temporary copy of part of the DNA stream. Basically, the sequence of mRNA encodes in transcription for the cell to build a polypeptide chain, or in other words, we can say how to build proteins. This strand, first of all, we have to recall about the transcription. During transcription, this messenger RNA will be formed, right? This strand of information is made during the transcription, where a molecule RNA polymerase reads the genetic code of the DNA segment and creates complementary mRNA molecules. This molecule only has one strand, whereas the DNA is double stranded, but this mRNA is only one strand. So it has a slightly different structure, so it uses the base uracil instead of thymine. The messenger RNA is nothing but in the DNA is double helical structure, whereas the messenger RNA is single stranded. It is DNA is double stranded. In DNA we have 80 GC pairs, whereas in messenger RNA the slightly different structure, that thymine is replaced by the nucleotide uracil. That's all. Okay. Protein coding region of mRNA is composed of non-overlapping string codons called as open reading frame. So mRNA is containing a single, if mRNA is consisting of a single ORF, then it is called as monocistronic mRNA. If the mRNA is containing the multiple ORFs, means multiple open reading frames, then it is called as polycistronic mRNA. So let's moving into types of messenger RNAs. We have two types of cells, right? Prokaryotic cells and eukaryotic cells. So we have two different types of messenger RNAs, prokaryotic messenger RNA and eukaryotic messenger RNA. First of all, prokaryotic messenger RNA. Prokaryotic messenger RNA, in prokaryotic messenger RNA, the ribosomal binding site is signed organo sequences, whereas in eukaryotes, the ribosomal binding site is Kozak sequences. Here one thing we have to note that in prokaryotic messenger RNA, messenger RNA, there will be no modifications. It directly further goes into the translation. Whereas in eukaryotes, the messenger RNA or pre-mRNA undergoes some modifications such as poly A tail, 5' capping and splicing, etc. Next, going into the transfer RNA. Here transfer RNA act as a adapter between codons and the amino acids. So if we see the structure of the tRNA, transfer RNA, it resembles like a clover leaf model because it is looking like a clover leaf model. There are many types of tRNA molecule, but each is attached to the specific amino acid recognizing to the particular codon. The base pairs present in the base pairs which are present in the transfer RNA are generally modified bases such as uridine, thymine, suroiridine and methyl guanine, hypoxanthine, etc. This is due to the degeneracy of amino acid, degeneracy of genetic code, which will be explained in Ubel hypothesis by Wharton and Crick. So if we observe the structure of tRNA, I already said that it looks like a clover leaf model. It has acceptors arm and D loop, anticodon loop, variable loop, etc. So acceptors, each stem has different functions. Coming to acceptor arm, it has a 5' to 3' ACC reach, means CCA, which is binding site of amino acids. Here the amino acid will be bind. Next, coming to variable loop varies between the 3 to 21 bases. Coming to anticodon loop is binds to the codons in the mRNA. This is the mRNA strand. The anticodon loops bind here, and D loop is diuridine loop. Next, moving into ribosomes. Ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis, and we know that the ribosomes is a macromolecular complex that directs the synthesis of proteins. So we will generally say that ribosomes are the sites of protein synthesis, right? These are composed of two units. One is larger subunit, another one is smaller subunit. The larger subunit contains the peptidyl transferase center, which is responsible for the formation of peptide bonds, and the smaller subunit contains decoding centers in which the charged tRNAs read or decode the codes of mRNA. Large and small subunits undergo association and dissociation during each cycle of translation. This is the importance of ribosomes. And the ribosomes subunits bring together mRNA template and tRNA bound with amino acids for polypeptide formation. Ribosomal RNA catalyzes protein synthesis. The new incoming tRNA binds to the A site, and the P site of the ribosome carries the growing polypeptide chain. Ribosomes decode the mRNA sequence and a long polypeptide chain is formed. So there are many functions of ribosomes in synthesizing the proteins. It brings the mRNA, it brings the anticodons for the mRNA, it catalyzes the protein synthesis, it binds the new incoming amino acids with the A which is present in A site, and transferred to the P site for the formation of a polypeptide chain. And there are two types of ribosomes in prokaryotes and ribosomes in eukaryotes. First of all, let's see about ribosomes in prokaryotes. As ribosomes exits normally has separate subunits, means before the translation they separate they exit has a separate subunits that are composed of protein and ribosomal RNA. The subunits come together to form a ribosome when they bind to an mRNA. These two subunits come together. These two subunits come together when there is an mRNA near its 5' end. On the binding to an mRNA, the ribosomal reads the whenever the ribosome binds the mRNA strand. This is the mRNA strands. Then it will read the nucleotides from 5' direction to the 3' direction, synthesizing the corresponding protein from amino acids in N terminus to C terminus. Okay. Ribosomes are located in the cytosol, either in the form of free floating or associated with endoplasmic reticulum. They serve as synthesizing the proteins. Next, moving into ribosomes in eukaryotes. Ribosomes exits normally has separate subunits that are composed of proteins and ribosomal RNA. Unlike ribosomes in prokaryotes, eukaryotes ribosomes also exits in separate subunits. They come in contact when there is a mRNA at the 5' end. Eukaryotic ribosomes are larger and they are complex when they are compared with the prokaryotic ribosomes, and they contain 80S and 70S ribosomes. They serve to synthesize the proteins. If we see the eukaryotic ribosomes, these eukaryotic ribosomes are subdivided into larger subunit 60S and smaller subunit 40S. Each is larger and smaller subunit is again divided into some subunits: 28S subunit, 5.8S, 5S, 49S, 18S and 18S ribosomal RNA. The 40S subunit makes up of 33 proteins, whereas 60S subunits makes up of 49 proteins. Next, moving into each prokaryotic ribosome have three sites. They are A site, P site and E site. A site, P site and E site. The A site is known as amino acyl tRNA binding site. It is present in during elongation. The incoming amino acid tRNA binds here. Whereas coming to P site, it is called as the peptidyl tRNA binding site. It is where the tRNA is linked to the growing polypeptide chain. The tRNA is linked to the growing polypeptide chain. Another one is exit site. It is a binding site of tRNA following its role in translation prior to release from the ribosome. So E site, the name itself indicating that it is an exit site. Exiting, it is going to exit something. What that is? The proteins. Next, moving into codons involved. Next component in translation is codons. So coming to genetic code. The genetic code is a universal code, and the properties of some genetic codes are the genetic code is a set of the rules by which a linear sequence of nucleotides specifies the linear sequence of polypeptide. That means the mRNA consists of what? The linear sequence of nucleotides. These nucleotides are converted in the form of amino acids, and the amino acids in the form of polypeptide chain. Third is they specify how the nucleotide sequence of an mRNA is translated into the amino acid sequence of a polypeptide chain. Means how the nucleotide sequence which is present in the mRNA strand is going to be translated in the amino acid sequence of polypeptide chain. This relationship between the nucleotide sequence of mRNA and the amino acid sequence of polypeptide chain is explained by the genetic code. So some of the characteristics of genetic code is that it is a triplet in nature, it is degeneracy, it is universal, it is non-overlapping, it is ambiguous, etc. These are the properties of genetic code. the single and doublet codes are not adequate to code for 20 amino acids. Therefore, it is pointed out the triplet code in the minimum required. So, all the code means 3 nucleotides. 3 nucleotides gives a specific amino acid. This is the genetic code. Here we have one start codon, that is AUG, called as methionine, and 3 stop codons, they are UAA, UAG and UGA. Whenever the mRNA strand reads the AUG, then it will that means it is a start codon, starts the transcription or translation. Whenever it reaches the stop codon or recognizes the stop codon, it will stop the function of the transcription or translation. Factors involved. Several factors are involved in translation. They are elongation factors, initiation factors and termination factors. They are different in different types of cells like eukaryotes and prokaryotes. In prokaryotes, the initiation factors are IF1 and IF3 and IF2, whereas in eukaryotes, EIF3, EIF4C, EIF6, EIF4B, EIF4F, EIF2B, EIF2, EIF5. Their function is bind to ribosomal subunits, means IF1 and IF3, EF3, EF4C bind to the ribosomal subunits, and EF6, EF4B bind to mRNA, EF4F initiated to the tRNA deliver, whereas EIF2 and EIF2B, EIF2, EIF5 displacement of other factors. Elongation factors in prokaryotes are 3 types: EFTU, EFTS, EFG, whereas in eukaryotes EF1 alpha, EF1 beta gamma, EF2. Amino cell tRNA delivery, recycling the EFTU or EF1 alpha translocation are the functions of these elongation factors. And termination factors in prokaryotes are RF1, RF2, RFC, whereas in eukaryotes single termination factor, that is ERF. Their function is polypeptide chain releases. Coming to steps involved in translation, if we talk about a movie or talk about a book, we will separate those into 3 types like beginning, middle and end. A book or a movie has 3 basic parts: a beginning and a middle and a end. Same as it is, the translation has also a 3 parts like initiation, elongation and termination. Coming to initiation, initiation involves these 3 main keys. One is initiation of binding mRNA to the smaller subunit 30S ribosome, stimulating the initiation factor IF3 dissociates the ribosomal subunit into 2. Later, the initiation factor IF2 then binds to GTP and the initiator FMET tRNA to P site of the ribosomes. A ribosomal protein splits the GTP that is bound to IF2, thus helping in driving the assembly of 2 ribosomal subunits. The IF3 and IF2 are then released. If you look at this picture, this is the mRNA strand, this is the smaller subunit. IF3 and IF1, the major function of IF1 is assisting the binding of IF2. IF3 keeps the large and smaller subunits apart. This is the initiation in translation. Next, elongation. The 3 key events for correct addition of each amino acids. Correct amino acid tRNA is loaded to the A site of the ribosome as dedicated by the A site codon, and the peptidyl transferase reaction, that means the formation of peptide bonds and translocation of peptidyl tRNA from A site to the P site of the ribosome. These are the 3 major steps. That means the correct amino acid has to be placed and the peptide transferation reaction should be occur. That means the peptide bond formation should be occurs, and the translocation of A site, the translocation of peptide tRNA from A site to P site of the ribosomes. For these 2 elongation factors are required. They are EFTU, EFG in case of prokaryotes. This is the picture showing about the elongation. First of all, the larger and smaller subunit binds to the mRNA, which has 3 sites: A site, P site, E site. The EFTU recognizes it and form the GTP, and that's called codon recognition. Next, activation of GTPase by releasing the GDP, called as EFTU GDP. GTP hydrolysis takes place, and then accommodation of tRNA rejection takes place. Next, peptide transferation takes place where the formation of peptide bond from one amino acid to amino acid is known as peptide transferase, and EFG and GTP again binds. The again GTP hydrolysis by releasing the GDP, and translocation of A site to P site will occur, and GDP will be again GDP will be attached to the next round. So here you can clearly observe the A site of amino acids forming a polypeptide chain called peptide transferase, and this is again here translocation is going to take place. That means the A site tRNA is translocated to P site growing polypeptide chain. This is known as translocation. These are the three important steps takes place in the elongation of the elongation in translation. Next, coming to peptide transferase reaction. Peptide transferation reaction is nothing but the formation of peptide bonds. The peptide bonds forms between the A site and P site. Once the correctly charged tRNA has been placed in the A site and it has rotated in the peptide transferase center, the peptide formation takes place. This reaction is catalyzed by a specialized 23S ribosomal RNA compound of the larger subunit. The last and final step in the translation is termination. Stop codons are recognized. Stop codons are recognition by proteins called release factors. Termination factors are called as release factors, RF factors. This hydrolyzes the polypeptide from the peptide tRNA. There are two classes of release factors. They are class 1 release factors, class 2 release factors. They are different in prokaryotes and eukaryotes, whereas eukaryotes have only one type of releasing factor, that is ERF1 for all the stop codons, whereas class 1 RF1 and RF2 is different in prokaryotes. That means RF1 recognizes UAG stop codon, RF2 recognizes UGA stop codon, whereas RF1 and RF2 recognizes UAA stop codon. In eukaryotes, ERF is recognizing all three types of stop codons. This is the major difference between the termination in eukaryotes and as well as in prokaryotes. The termination, here in termination, RF1 to binding, the release factors are binding. Next, the GTP hydrolysis takes place, peptide bond will be released, RF3 binding will take place, again GTP hydrolysis takes place, RF3 releases all other elongation initiation factors releases from the mRNA, and 50S and ribosomal subunits will be separate, and IF3 releases polypeptide chain, mRNA, ribosomal subunits all will be get separated. This is the termination process. Next, coming to the differences between the translation in eukaryotes as well as prokaryotes. So somehow the translation process is same in eukaryotes and prokaryotes, but the some small differences are there. Let's see what are there. First one, the mRNA for translation is monocistronic. The mRNA for prokaryotes is polycistronic. As I mentioned already that the messenger RNA is of two types. In prokaryotes it is polycistronic, in eukaryotes it is monocistronic. Monocistronic means it codes for a single gene of polypeptide. Polycistronic means it codes for a several genes of polypeptides. Here in eukaryotes, it involves three types of RNA polymerases like RNA polymerase 1, RNA polymerase 2, RNA polymerase 3. Whereas in prokaryotes, a single RNA polymerase synthesis or RNA, tRNA and mRNA, etc. Here in eukaryotes, it involves 40S and 60S subunits of ribosomes, whereas in prokaryotes, it involves only 70S subunits. Next, transcription and translation takes place separately, hence they do not overlap, whereas in prokaryotes transcription and translation can overlap because it is a simultaneous process. In case of eukaryotes, it is not simultaneous process, it takes place after some time, so it does not overlap, whereas in prokaryotes it's overlap. The pre-messenger RNA or mRNA undergoes modification before they are translated in eukaryotes. The messenger RNA does not undergo any modification before translation in prokaryotes. So, I showed you and I explained you about this. that the mRNA which is formed in eukaryotes undergoes some modifications, means pre-mRNA to mRNA, some modifications that is called as post-transcriptional modifications, such as 5' capping, 8 and tailing, poly-A tailing, and splicing of introns and exons. So after these modifications, the mRNA undergo translation. In prokaryotes, there are no such post-transcriptional modification will be occurs before they are undergoing translation. In prokaryotes, they do not have a special initiator complex of tRNA. In eukaryotes, in prokaryotes, a special initiator tRNA called as met-tRNA is used. The starting amino acid is methionine in eukaryotes. The starting amino acid is N-formylmethionine in prokaryotes. They have a single initiation and termination sites in eukaryotes. They have several initiation and termination sites in prokaryotes. The ribosomal binding site in eukaryotes is Kozak sequence. The ribosomal binding sites in prokaryotes is Shine-Dalgarno sequence. And several initiation factors like EF1, EF2, ELF2AM, ELF-A2, ELF-A are required in eukaryotes. It involves only 3 initiation factors in prokaryotes. There are IF1, IF2, IF3, and there are 2 elongation factors in eukaryotes. There are 3 elongation factors in prokaryotes. There is a single release factor called ERF for recognizing all the 3 termination codons like UAA, UAG and UGA, whereas the 3 release factors are there for prokaryotes, RF1 for UAA, RF2 for UGA, UAG, and RF3 for all 3 termination codons. The genetic code may differ in mitochondria and chloroplast in eukaryotes. The genetic code is same in every prokaryotic organism in prokaryotes. So summary, coming to the overall view about the translation is, as we know that the DNA is a double stranded structure and it is transcribed into the single stranded messenger RNA, which contains the sequence of nucleotides. These sequence of nucleotides are converted or translated into the sequence of linear sequence of amino acids to form a polypeptide chains or proteins called as translation. For translation, we required many components such as site, messenger RNA, transfer RNA, ribosomes, etc. Genetic code, because each serves as a major importance for the translation to occur. And in translation, the nucleotide sequence of mRNA get translated into the linear sequence of amino acid to give a polypeptide chain final product called proteins. In this is 2 different types of cells are there, prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Although the process is same, but they differ in some small differences. As we already discussed the translation in prokaryotes and eukaryotes, some best examples to remember is the eukaryotic mRNA undergo post transcriptional modification, whereas the prokaryotic mRNA doesn't undergo any transcriptional modification before translation. Here the tRNA is required, the specified tRNA, no specified tRNA is required in prokaryotes. And there are so many differences between the prokaryotes and eukaryotes in initiation, elongation and termination factors. This is the overview about the translation in both prokaryotes and eukaryotes. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you once again for listening.